Princess Diana. Did the royals stage her death? August 31st, 1997. Princess Diana of Wales was found dead in a car accident. In a news report, they announced she died in a Mercedes going extremely high speeds, trying to escape the paparazzi. She was found alive on the scene, but soon died. Popular speculation is Prince Charles, now king, was cheating on Diana with Camilla. Once they were divorced, there was only one thing holding Camilla and Charles back: the royal prerequisites. These rules stated that Charles could not remarry while his former wife was alive, so he found a way around it: killing Diana. On the other side, non-conspiracists believe that Diana's death was just an accident. Blood tests found that driver Henry Paul was under the influence of alcohol while driving the vehicle. The car was going at extremely high speeds in order to escape the paparazzi. Maybe it was just very unlucky fate for Princess Diana. There's a large number of evidence to support that Diana was killed by the royals. The first one is the letters she left in her diary. A few months before Diana died, she wrote in her diary, "My husband is planning an accident in my car, brake failure, or a serious head injury to make the path clear for him to marry Twiggy," parentheses Camilla. This shows Diana knew what Charles was planning, and she knew what was coming for her. Next, driver. Henry Paul, Diana's driver, was found to have a couple $100,000 deposited into his bank account the day of the accident. Was he not supposed to die? Cameras. There were multiple cameras in the tunnel the accident occurred in. Why did none of them work the night of the crash? There's no evidence of the crash happening. Ambulance. The scene of the crash was around 3 miles away from the hospital, yet it took an hour for Diana to arrive at the hospital. Why? 3 miles isn't very far. Diana should have made it there, especially since she was alive on scene. On the other hand, we can see the car was going extremely high speeds. It was rumored that it was going between 150 and 200 miles per hour, which is not only dangerous for everyone involved, but very reckless. The driver, Henry Paul, was intoxicated and driving at excessive speeds. This was the primary cause of the accident, and we know that investigators from France and Britain proved this. Cameras. Paparazzi was following the car very closely and would not leave them alone. Did all the flashing lights blind the driver? Seatbelt. Diana was not wearing a seatbelt, which is significantly contributed to the severity of her injuries. Diana was known to be wearing a seatbelt, but maybe that night she was just unlucky. After reviewing the evidence, there are many events that point toward Diana's death being planned. If the accident was only 3 miles away from the hospital, why would it take an hour for Diana to get there? She was alive on the scene, and at the time she had reached the hospital, she was dead. John McNamara, a private detective who worked on Diana's case, states, "It was presented as a simple traffic accident, but it was something more deliberate." Lastly, Camilla is not a conspiracy that Charles was cheating on Diana with Camilla. It was very public knowledge. He wanted Diana out of the picture so he could marry Camilla, despite his youngest son Harry begging him not to marry Camilla. Diana said in an interview before she died, "There are 3 of us in this marriage. It's a bit crowded." On the mainstream side, we see evidence shows that Diana's death was simply an accident. We know driver Henry Paul was under the influence of alcohol while he was handling Diana's limo. We also know Diana was not wearing her seatbelt. While her family claims she never went anywhere without a seatbelt, this was the unlucky time she didn't. In an article about the Queen and Princess Diana, it states, "As well as promising to support Diana's sons, the Queen paid tribute to the princess's memory and the impact Diana had on the world. The royal family loved and supported Diana, as she was the mother of the heirs to the crown." Plausibility. On the conspiracy side, Diana knew too many of the royal secrets. Without her married into the family anymore, she was a threat. Charles wanted to marry Camilla, and the best way to clear the air and get Diana out of the picture was to plan and execute her death. On the mainstream side, we see official investigations by both British and French authorities concluded the car crash that Princess Diana tragically passed away was a result of the driver's intoxication and excessive speeds, rather than a planned event. It's obvious to see that the royals are just trying to cover up for themselves. They hold so much power, and they would never admit to doing something like this. Additionally, it wasn't safe for them to allow Diana to be free to make her own decisions without the royal guards or PR team following her. They couldn't trust her to make the right decisions, especially about Charles and Camilla. She had been replaced, and it was only a matter of time before problems erupted, and she continued to expose things. My stance. I think the royals killed Princess Diana. While there's evidence against the royals killing her, I believe they are trying to cover up for themselves. There's a strong motive for Charles to get rid of Diana, to make his life and future easier. He got away with it all on paper, but we know Diana's death was not an accident.